Well, in a moment, we'll go to Downing Street and speak to our political correspondent, Darren McCaffrey. But first, let's speak to our North of England correspondent, Charlotte Leeming, who's in Liverpool tonight. And Charlotte, what's the situation where you are and elsewhere across the country tonight?
Well, Gillian, tonight, such a huge police presence here outside the mosque, just outside Liverpool city centre. The police helicopter just circling above us. You may be able to hear that. I mean, pretty calm so far, but probably because of these extra officers out in force. Merseyside police, in fact, have put a Section 60 order in place. Effectively means they've got extra officers, stop and search powers to reassure local residents and prevent any criminal behaviour. It seems to have worked. We've been here for a few hours now, but it's not the case, of course, in Sunderland. A very different picture there. We've seen rioters target a mosque in the wake of the Southport attack. So hundreds of people gathered in Keele Square, many draped in England flags. Some of them then became violent, targeting a mosque, setting an overturned car on fire, and riot police coming under sustained attack. Mounted police were pushed back by some of the demonstrators. Some of them were in masks, and fire extinguishers were set off. Now, the scenes very sadly reminiscent of the disorder we saw in Southport earlier on this week outside a mosque there as well. Now, Northumbria Police has told Sky News that they condemn the violence tonight. They put on X that their officers have been subjected to serious violence, hit by stones, beer bottles and fire extinguishers. The force said these scenes are completely unacceptable and will not be tolerated. And local MPs have said this does not represent our city. This is a minority carrying out this violence. We know there are more protests planned this weekend across the UK. Many of them will be peaceful, but some, there is the fear, of course, of this disorder and this violence. Police say any rioting and any violence will be dealt with robustly. But, you know, the community just an hour down the road here in Southport, this is not what they wanted. They wanted time to heal, to help, you know, come together in the wake of this tragedy. And they have said they do not want this violence. They want peace on the streets of the UK.
Charlotte, thank you. Well, as you mentioned there, we've heard from the local MP, Lewis Atkinson, the MP for Sunderland, and he's put out a statement on X. He says, "I'm appalled by the disorder in the centre of Sunderland tonight. Our city is not represented by a tiny minority causing trouble. Northumbria Police have my full support as they respond to criminal thuggery and work to protect all the communities of our city. Tomorrow, the people of Sunderland will come together and continue to build the bright future that we have, a future where every community of our city feels safe and prospers." So that statement released on X by Lewis Atkinson, the MP for Sunderland. Let's cross to Darren McCaffrey, who's standing by for us at Downing Street. And Darren, we know that the Prime Minister was in Southport for the second time this week and pledging extra help for the community there.
Yeah, indeed. And Downing Street, of course, lit up tonight in solidarity with the victims in Southport. As you say, further solidarity from the Prime Minister earlier on today on his second visit this week to Southport, and also launching what he called a package of measures to help the local community there, Gillian. He talked about how he's going to equip local leaders and agencies so that they can provide the right support to victims, and the needs of the bereaved families will be at the heart of the response. Keir Starmer going on to say that he will drive longer-term efforts to bring the community together. So a very deliberate attempt by the government this evening in very visible forms to try and provide that solidarity. But be in no doubt the real concerns tonight inside Downing Street and across government is about the potential for further violence, given the scenes that we've seen in Sunderland this evening, roundly condemned, as you heard there, by a Labour MP. I'm sure there will be by government ministers tomorrow as well. But despite that meeting with police chiefs yesterday and Keir Starmer talking about the full force of the law and talking about how he views this action as being carried out by right-wing thugs, there is clearly pressure on the police, and there is concerns in government that we could see further demonstrations and further violence in the days and weeks to come. Also, that is reflected by James Cleverly, the Shadow Home Secretary, in the Express newspaper today, saying Britain cannot let rioting thugs win. So, as I say, there is solidarity tonight from Downing Street and from the Prime Minister in regards to the victims in Southport, but very much this weekend they will be looking at different parts of England and be very concerned about the potential for further violence.